And there were times where I'm like, I could sleep in, I can go to bed
Mhm.
now, I can sit on the couch and binge watch whatever. But I was like, no, I'm gonna do this. I deserve to do this. My horse deserves for me to show up and make her proud. I was like, nope, gonna fight through it. Sorry, the negative thoughts. Not gonna win today.
Welcome to Elevate Your Ride, the podcast dedicated to elevating your performance in the saddle. I'm Ellie, your personal trainer.
And I'm Lauren, your mindset coach. Today, we're so excited to welcome our guest, Loralea Allen, a client of both Ellie and me, who came to us with a powerful goal to reach new heights in the showpen and bring her absolute best to the Congress. Loralea was ready to elevate both her mental and physical game, and she did exactly that. She showed up, trusted the process, and proved what's possible when commitment meets intention. We can't wait for you to hear all about her journey and the mindset that helped her step into the arena with confidence. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for trusting both of us to be a part of your journey.
Yes, I'm so excited to be with both of you guys at the same time. Like every time I've caught up with you two, it's been on an individual basis. So I feel like we should be doing this at Disney World or with a glass of wine or something because it's the three of us together. And I just love that. So
I
thank you so
know.
much for having me. I'm excited about this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you for coming on. And we were both really excited when you reached out to us to, work on your mental and your physical game for Congress. And I feel like you reached out with enough time to be able to make progress and achieve some goals. So let's talk about one, why you decided to compete at Congress in the first place, and then why you decided to have Lauren and I help you get there.
Well, I am definitely blessed to have Congress, like, literally in my backyard. It is, just a 2-hour drive for me compared to,
Oh,
many
how
others
nice.
that do come to compete. So, that obviously makes it much easier and different experience for me than others, but at the same time, it's Congress. I'm sure most of us that are listening are aware of the level that Congress is. But, for those who might be new to the world, it's huge. S
Yeah.
and it's the best of the best. So, even though it's in my backyard, I wanna go to compete, I don't wanna just show up. So, that was part of the reason why I reached out to you guys. I actually look back, I originally reached out to both of you almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, you
Wow.
did.
Yeah, and that was a whole different scenario at that point. Obviously, it was not for Congress, it was in February that I had reached out to you of
Mhm.
2024, and I do wanna touch on that because it's a huge part of my Congress experience this year. So, I originally reached out to you because I was on the struggle bus, and I think I just came across both of you. Ellie, I think I came across your information first, and then you
Mhm.
turned me on to Lauren, but I came across a post on social media that just mentioned, upping your game physically and the importance of it, and also the importance of somebody who specializes in equestrian fitness. So, obviously, I reached out to you, and it went from there. But just to give you a little more background, I experienced some trauma 10 years ago, and it had nothing to do with riding horses, but for some reason, that's where it impacted my life. The anxiety level that I experienced, the PTSD that I experienced from the trauma came out with riding my horse. I mean, I would literally be paralyzed with fear. And it was heartbreaking for me for many reasons, but primarily because horses is what I was passionate about and showing horses. But to make the struggle even worse was the fact that I'm a clinical mental health counselor. I should be able to work through this on my own. But the 2 of you became part of the journey, and I'm
Mm.
so grateful for that. And I think I'm not the only one that probably struggles with anxiety,
Yeah.
especially in the show pen. And I feel like the 2 of you working together are like this little hidden secret, and the world needs to know.
Well,
Yes,
Thank
Lauralee,
you.
yes.
thank you.
So, yeah,
Means a lot. By the way,
yeah.
we're not paying Lauralee to say that.
No, not at all. But, honestly, I do feel like this is the best kept secret that's out there that the word does need to get out because I know I'm not the only one who struggles in the show pen. And when it comes to anxiety and when it comes to the physical fitness portion of it. So I definitely want to help get the word out because I feel like I am, as I use air quotes, the average person that's out there who probably needs it the most. Because obviously, when you get to the Congress level, I feel like everybody is at their peak. And obviously, there's a journey that they took, but I feel like they've been at their peak for years. And I know that's not the case. It just looks like that. But for someone like me that's like, okay, I'm going to up my game, we need people like Ellie and Lauren to help us get there.
Yeah,
Mm,
and
so
thank you so
sweet.
much. And one of the things that I've enjoyed with working with you is you have such a positive and growth mindset that it has been so fun to watch you transform and evolve. And like you are able to take on board the things that we share. So thank you for doing your part of this as well.
Well, thank you. But let me tell you, when I initially reached out to you 2 years ago, that was not necessarily the mindset.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so
but
I'd like to talk about that if you're comfortable, because you were in a much different spot when I worked with you before than when I started working with you again this summer to prep for Congress. And Lauren
yeah.
and we didn't really ever really talk about that together. Obviously we didn't sit and talk about Lauralee. But I'm curious if Lauren, you saw the same difference, and then Lauralee, I'd like you to talk about why there was such a big difference in your mental game and your mental spirit, 2 years ago versus now.
Absolutely. I noticed a big shift in your mindset as well. And I also wanted to touch on the fact that you are a professional in this field. So if you could talk a little bit too about what you feel the difference is between what you would normally do in your practice versus what it took to overcome this anxiety with the horses. And why do you think there was a little bit of a difference there? Because I feel that for myself personally, I can relate to that, but in a flipped sense. I feel very calm and very in control of myself in the show pen. But outside, I was struggling with some anxiety earlier this year as well. And even though I had the tools in the show pen, when I tried to bring it into the real world, it didn't quite transfer. So maybe from your opinion too, what do you think the difference is?
Ugh, good question. And let me tell you, I hearing you say that, Lauren, I think was sort of enlightening for me because I do own my own clinical mental health practice, it's pretty large. And the fact that one, I do what I do, but also manage a large practice, I think I literally have to keep my craft together all the time. And then I think when I go into the show pen, it's like, I don't know, it's like, oh, I don't have to do it here. So therefore, I won't at all. Wow. I don't know, but I think what happened for me to make the difference, well, there were several things. Not to get preachy, but my relationship with God became much more important to me. So I think that came into play. Also, I think I just got tired of the BS. Like, Laura Lee, knock it off. You are passionate about this. You have not get thrown in the towel yet. So why not just up your game? Like, enough is enough. Support from family and friends, and my barn family especially, has always been there, and I think that unwavering support also is like, "Okay, Laura Lee, knock it off." Also, Lauren, I know I mentioned this to you, and I certainly don't wanna go into depth about it too much, but I did reach out to a neuroscientist that I work with here at the practice and asked him for help. One of the practices that I introduced here in my location is vibroacoustic therapy. So I reached out to the neuroscientist that helped me introduce that. And I said, "Do you have anything specific that would help me?" And he's like, "As a matter of fact, I do." And he introduced a personalized program for me using vibroacoustic therapy. And he definitely could tell you much more about the process because he's a neuroscientist. I am not. But it really helped to rewire my brain, and that in conjunction to what you 2 have done, it was like, "Okay, let's now take this to the next level." Also, let me tell you, one of your podcasts made a huge difference for me, and it was probably the most simple, basic thing that you never thought anything about, but when I heard, Lauren, you talk about one of your experiences of just you struggled at the cone. To hear you say that, somebody that shows at your level, say, "I struggled at the cone." I'm like, "Oh, wait, this is not just me."
Yeah.
That it normalized it, it validated it for me that I was like, "Holy crap, she does this at her level. It's a real thing." It just really validated it for me that that made such a huge difference for me. Like, it was like a light bulb moment. So simple, so basic, but it was a literal light bulb moment for me that I was like, "Okay, it's not just me."
Yeah, because sometimes on our journey, we feel like we're the only person experiencing whether it's a difficult time or some challenge, and you're like, "Man, I'm the only person who has ever faced this, and so therefore I'm the only person who will ever face it, and there is no solution, and I'm doomed forever." But
Absolutely, yes,
really, I think a lot of us go through a lot the same struggles, and when we can share with each other in a constructive way, not just a complaining way, then we realize like, "Oh, you've been through it, and I see that you're on the other side of it, so there's a way for me to get across it too."
yes, yes, and just listening to that particular podcast in that moment, like, I promise you the very next ride I had was like, "Oh, I know how to keep my horse calm at the cone." Like, that quick, it was just like, "Oh, that was easy." Uh, so
That's
it really
really
made.
cool.
Yes.
I think that one of the reasons why I love doing this podcast with Lauren so much is, I think that, like you said, Laura Lee, we kind of hold the level three amateurs or open riders or just the people who we view as really, really successful. We kind of hold them up on a pedestal and we almost view them as celebrities. And uh, Lauren, as much as I love you, you're an everyday, you're just a person, right? Like
I'm
you're just a
just a
girl.
girl.
You're just a girl, and you have struggles, and you make mistakes, and you have hard days, but you also have great days, and you're also phenomenal. Like you're both. And I think that a lot of people think that, behind closed doors, everything is perfect and peachy, and that is not reality. That is not real life for
Ex
anybody.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so many of the times we watch, the live stream at the World Show, and we see these wonderful, great goes, and we see you get the awards, and we don't see the backstory. We don't see the work that went into it. We don't see the
Mhm.
fact that maybe walking up to that first cone, you were crying your eyes out. Like we don't see that part. And yes, so again, it's good to hear that. The Laurens of the world, they have their moments. So,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely, and we
Yeah.
we always will, and, hopefully, we have more of the great moments, but I promise you that there will always be something that we have to overcome just because that's life. Life is stressful, life is unpredictable, and we just hope that we have enough tools in our toolbox to get through whatever the next challenge is.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and what I love about your journey, Laura Lee, is that you could have said, "You know what? I struggle with X, Y, and Z, and that's just going to be my identity, and that's just who I am, and I can't change that." But instead, you reached out to Lauren, you reached out to me, you listened to our podcast. You
Yeah.
probably subconsciously paid more attention to inspiring social media posts. You
Yeah.
probably started to live more in the moment. Like there was probably little subconscious things about your everyday that you didn't even notice that started changing that mentality. And that brought you to where you were in August, where you decided, you know what? I'm going to chase this dream. I'm going to go to the Congress and I'm going to do the best that I very can. And I'm going to put in the work that I need to do to make myself better. And I think that that is very admirable.
Thank you. And as you guys know, I set the bar high. When I came to the 2 of you in August, I'm like,
Mhm.
"Girlfriends, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna get
We're
a
going to
top
do it.
finish." Like, that's where I set the bar. And didn't happen, right? But
But you
let
were
me
almost there.
I was almost there. Like, I had to sit down with all the scorecards to figure it out. And I did have a place on the 16th on a card. And at the Congress, I will take that all day
Take it
long.
all day long. That is
Exactly.
phenomenal.
But what I
And more
love
than that, you were happy with your go. More than
Yes.
your
oh
placing, you
my
had a
God.
good go.
And that's what I love about the work that the 3 of us did was it did allow me to be happy with the go and realize even in that moment how much we accomplished. Did I get my top 10? No, but what I came away with was so much more important than the top 10. And I am so grateful for you guys. Don't get teary-eyed, Lorelei. But I met with my barn family afterwards and I'm like, okay, let's talk about my go, what you guys thought, what was good, what was bad. And what we came away with was lots of hugs and tears, but how far I have come mentally, physically.
Mhm.
Like, I was
Mhm.
so proud of myself that after, like years before, whether it was my weekend show or at the Congress, because I've done the Congress before, when
Mhm.
I finished that pattern, as soon as I crossed that line, I stopped and was so out of breath, where this one, I was like, "Oh, you want me to do it again? I'll do it again." Like,
Mhm.
it was so phenomenal just to be physically better than I ever have been, and I know that there's still room to grow, but that's what we love about the sport is there's always room to grow. But it was phenomenal. I felt so much more confident, like, going to that start cone, I knew where I was, you know? I took it to a new level. I don't know if you guys know the pattern, but the fact that I literally had to run up to the judge, I felt like, "Okay, I can shake his hand. I'm that close to him." But I did it with so much more confidence than I've ever had, and I know that I put in the work for that, but I honestly the help that I achieved from you 2 was phenomenal, and I could not ask for more. You guys were such a huge part of it, and that's why the night before I was texting both of you, as soon I think probably immediately when I got to the barn, I'm like, "Ellie,
Yep.
Lauren, yeah," you know?
Yeah.
So, I felt the love from the 2 of you, so it was great, so
Well, I'm overall really proud of you, and something that I really wanna point out is that you really enjoyed and trusted the process, and even though you set a goal and, we're all goal-orientated, I think that society is trending more to being process-orientated, which makes me really, really happy because even though, no, you did not technically achieve the goal that you set out for, you still were able to walk away very happy with the hard work that you put in and the performance that you laid out. And
yeah,
that is what's important. That's what you should chase.
yes.
And that's going to give that made you feel good and made it have and overall made it a positive experience. And I bet you want to chase it again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am so excited about 2026. As soon as we got back to the barn, I said to my trainer, "Okay, so what show can we go to next?" And of course, this was Congress. She's like, "Can I please sleep? Let me sleep for a week. We'll revisit this." But I'm ready to go, and my goal is to continue to build from this. I mean, Ellie, I've texted you twice this week saying workout complete, because Just because Congress over, it's not like, well, let's hibernate for the winter. It's like, nope, we're going to build from this. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, the
know?
grind doesn't stop. You need to give yourself time to rest, but then
Yeah.
once you've rested, it's time to get back to it, which you let yourself do, so I'm very proud of you. Hi, everyone. It's your personal trainer, Ellie. If you're looking to become a stronger, more balanced, and flexible rider, I'm here to help. I offer virtual personal training sessions and customized workout plans that you can complete on your own. As a fellow competitor, I understand the physical demands riding requires, and my goal is to help you perform your best for your horse, whether you're preparing for a show or just want to improve your everyday rides. Visit lopendowntherailfitness.com or click on my website tab in the notes of this podcast episode to learn more. Let's work together to elevate your ride.
Are you looking for that extra competitive edge, struggling with showpen anxiety, or looking to set and achieve meaningful goals with your horse? Schedule a session with me, Lauren, your dedicated mindset coach. As an experienced competitor, I understand the mental demands required to excel at the highest level, and am here to support you in building a plan to help you stay accountable and reaching those goals. For more information, check out laurencervelli.com or click on the website link in our show notes. Let's work together to elevate your ride.
But so I actually want to talk about your physical journey a little bit, Miss Lorelei. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned that when you came to me, if, like you just said, when you finished the Congress this year, you didn't feel like you were out of stamina. You felt like you could do it again. You felt like you were happy with your position, all that stuff. And I actually have my notes from the very first time that we ever met together. And what I wrote down is that you really want to up your game, but you need to build stamina and you feel like you run with your chest forward and you're kind of bending over when you're running for the showmanship. And you feel like you lean forward in the horsemanship and the trail as well. And that first time that I saw you, I felt like you had some anterior chain weakness. So that means that you're tight, like through the chest and just through the front of the body in general, which pulls your shoulders forward, pulls your hips forward, pulls your back forward. It rounds everything forward. And that you had posterior chain weakness. So overall backside weakness, which is what is allowing your body to round forward. And you were also struggling with some kind of random pains. You had some hip pain, some knee pain. We just overall, we needed to build mobility. We needed to build strength. We needed to build stability. You were pretty weak through your glute muscle. And those were the things that we started working on when we very, very first started working together. And I felt like when we first started working together versus when we started working together again for the second time, you were a completely different person. One, mentally, but two, physically. And even though, like, when we started working together to then you paused and then we started working together again, you were actually in so much better shape the second time around. And so that told me that you were going to be more committed the second time around because you were already in better shape. I could tell that you'd been focusing on your posture way more. You were in way better physical health. You
Mhm.
just overall seemed happier. You were more content with who you are. And the second time around, it seems like you were more trying to be a better version of Lorelei instead of a whole new version of Lorelei. Does that make sense? Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Yes, I absolutely agree. And listening to you describe all those words that you were just using, I'm like, "Ooh," like, you can tell you're working with a select client because let me tell you, at the age of oh my gosh, I had to get the calculator out the other day to figure out I am freaking 59 years old.
Young at
So,
heart,
Yes,
oh my
very
gosh,
in part.
I trust me,
spicy.
yeah, I do not act 59. Everybody around me will agree with that. I do not act my age. Every once in a while, I probably should. But yes, I finally got to a point where, mentally it was like, okay, enough is enough, Lorelei. Pull your head out of your butt. But also physically, like it was like, all right, are you going to be an old 59 or are you going to be a young 59? And I'm like, I want to be a young 59. So I
Mhm.
did start paying a lot better attention to what I put into my body. I tried just to be more active, but then it was like, okay, Ellie, I need you to help me take it up to the next level too. And it was funny because 2 years ago, when I reached out to you, you gave me this whole workout plan. And then I was like, oh, I have to do it too. Like, that you're doing.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
this time, this time I was like, "Girlfriend, you're gonna do it." I did do it. I remember
Mhm.
one time reaching out to you between sessions like, "Okay, how can we, increase this? Because I wanna take it
Yeah.
to the next level." And I love
Yeah.
the fact that we had that moment that you're like, "Laura Lee, be patient, trust the process."
Yep.
Where it was I was excited that I was excited. And again, it was because
You
I had that big
yes.
goal, but it was like, "Okay, I have a big goal, but I really wanna make it happen. I'm not just gonna put it on
Yeah.
paper. I have to do the work."
Yes. So the first time, yes, I would totally agree. Like, you wanted me to write the plan, and this is something that I tell people all the time. I can write the perfect plan all day long, but if you don't do it, and if you don't do it the way that I want you to do it, you're not gonna see the result. And I feel like that's part of what happened in the first time around, right? Like, I
Yeah,
wrote the plan,
with
but it
yes,
was hard for you mentally to commit to it. Like,
yeah,
even when you did the exercises, you would get really frustrated with your body. Overall, I would just say it was somewhat of a negative experience. And
yeah.
so when it came time to decide that, okay, we're just going to pause, you're going to, do a little bit of soul searching. And I think I told you that I want you to come back someday. I want you to come back when you feel ready mentally. And you came back the second time. And I was so impressed with how much harder you were willing to work. It was like I was talking to a whole different person.
Thank you.
And that is why you were able to see the results that you did physically in the 2.5 months. So at first, when you came to me in that very first session, you were like, can I do this and be ready for Congress? Because the biggest things that you wanted to work on were your posture, your stamina, and your legs. Like you felt like you had a little bit too much of a chair seat in the showmanship, which is very, very common, right? Where you have a lot of knee bend and the hips are really far back behind you.
Yeah.
So work on that. We worked on your glute strength. That way your hips could drive up underneath you. That way your hips were not pointing back behind you. And then we worked on being able to like kind of flick your toe out in front of you and have that quad strength to be able to have that flat knee. So those, and then obviously the posture and the upper back strength and all that. So, and your balance, there was a lot of things that we needed to work on.
Oh
And
my gosh,
two and a
yes, the balance, yes.
Yes, yes. And 2.5 months, I told you, I was like, Laura Lee, this can work, but it is a little bit of a short time frame. You are going to have to work and you're going to have to do the plan that the way that I want you to, and you're going to have to commit to it. And you're going to have to put in the work. I can't do it for you. And you said, saluted, yes, ma'am, I got this. I can do it. Right. And
Yes,
and you did. And I'm really proud of you for that because 2.5 months, it's time, but there's not enough time to mess around, right?
right, yeah.
And you didn't mess around. You got down to business and you freaking made it happen. And that is, like I said earlier, very admirable. And I'm really, really proud of you. But it also goes to show you that, I don't know that it's necessarily that you wanted it more the second time around. You were just set up for success the second time around. You were in a better mental state, which allowed your body to perform. Like the
Yeah.
first time around, I don't think that you could have seen those results in 2.5 months. Your mind and your body was not ready to put in the work, but the second time around, it was, and the proof is in the pudding.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you, and it made the world of difference, but let me tell you, I know a lot of people, especially in the horse show world, work with personal trainers, but it is
Hmm.
such a huge benefit to work with somebody like you, Ellie, who, specializes in the equestrian athlete because it just made it so much easier, maybe? I don't know if that's the right word, but, like, when you had me do a particular exercise and you're like, "Put your arms in a horsemanship position," like, that is so cool versus if I were to go to a personal trainer at my local gym and they're like, "Hold your arms this way." Just to have somebody use that verbiage can make such a huge difference, and it just puts it in perspective, like, if I hear quad and glute from you one more time, right? But, you know, but at the same time, to make sense of like, "Oh, this is why I need to work on my quads and my glutes,"
Mhm.
because,
Mhm.
Lauren and Ellie, that I just went into Congress to show showmanship as opposed to,
Mhm.
my 2 other classes. I'm like, "I'm just gonna focus on this," which sorta made it easier, but it also put it in so much better perspective of knowing why
Mhm.
my glutes are important, why my like, you really broke it down and made it so understandable of why it's important. And I would not have been able to achieve that with obviously a personal trainer is hugely important, but with any other personal trainer, that's why I wanna get the word out to all my horse show friends about the importance, how beneficial it was to work with you as opposed to another, and Lauren, the same with you. Like, I'm a clinical mental health counselor. I should have been able to do what you did on my own or with a clinical mental health counselor, right? But to work with somebody who is in the horse show world, it just makes all the difference in the world, and that's why I feel like the 2 of you are this little secret that no one knows about, and it's like, "Can we please get the word out because we will change the world."
We're trying. We're
Right?
trying to
Yes.
convince all
Well,
these
and
people.
well, yeah, and obviously you guys do have a big following, don't get me wrong, but I
Yeah.
it's like, can we get it out there more because, I've told my friends in the barn how important it is, and I think now they're seeing me and the growth that I've achieved, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is what you're talking about."
Mm.
It's like, "Yes,
Mhm.
yes." And I love the
Absolutely.
fact that my horse trainer, she's like, "Have you reached out to Ellie? Have you run this by her?" Like,
Yeah.
they're on board with it
He's in
because
it, yeah.
they see the results and they know how important it is. Like, it's not just about the horse and what, my trainer is helping me achieve with my horse. It's like, nope, it takes the village.
It does. 100% takes a village to achieve
Mhm.
anything, but
Right.
especially in horses. Yes.
Yeah, because you're an athlete too, just as much as your horse is, and so
Yes.
that's where all of it comes into play, and I love how you were describing the difference that you experienced after working with Ellie. Can you maybe share a little bit deeper as to what you felt like your body change, and then how it also helps you maybe in other parts of life by just being overall fit person and an athlete?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we overlook the importance of fitness just in general and how then that can lead us to being in a better mental space as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, first of all, I think, Ellie, I think you helped me with this, but watching my showmanship goes, 4 or 5 months ago compared to the Congress, like, you can see the difference. I still have more work to do, don't get me wrong, but, the way I was able to carry myself so much
Mhm.
taller, I think
Mhm.
maybe I grew 10 inches from
Aw.
from the
No.
workouts, that Ellie had me specifically do. Like, I was taller, I did have the stamina. I the difference of just coming across that last cone, the work that Ellie and I have done made it so much, worth it because of the fact that I could continue to run after I crossed
Yes.
that
Yes.
last cone. I watched, the video that my friend took of me at the Congress, and I ran all the way out of the pen where,
You did.
Atta
yes,
girl.
exactly, like, keep on running, and that was something I could not have done 5 months ago,
No. No.
so, yeah, the strength that I felt in my core is phenomenal, it's just amazing, and, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but there's a huge difference, and
There
I
is.
Well,
Yeah.
those beautiful pictures that you took, oh
oh
my goodness, like, you're a little beauty queen.
Yes, I had so much fun with our photo shoot that my friends and I did at the barn, and let me tell you, it was so outside of my comfort zone, but I thought, "You know what? For my And my friends and my boyfriend, when I showed him a picture of the dress that I got to wear for our photo shoot, he was like, "Oh, okay, now." Yeah, because it's sorta unusual to wear a dress for a photo shoot with your horse. I mean, obviously, it's been done, but I was like, "I'm gonna go all glam, and I am going to wear this black, formal dress," and I am so glad with how it turned out, and, again, I worked hard to get there, and, Ellie, you're a big part of my fitness journey that it allowed me to feel somewhat confident wearing a black, you know, dress for my
Lauralee,
photo shoot.
and you looked so confident in those photos and you looked amazing, not only physically, but mentally. Like you can tell how somebody's feeling about themselves through a photo and you could just tell how happy you were with yourself, which is awesome. But something I want to point out is yes, I wrote the program and yes, I coached you through it, but I just showed you the path. You actually had to walk down it. So even though I helped you get there, you're actually the person that got you there. So you worked really hard and you should
W
be very proud. I'm very, very proud of you. And I
But
know more.
were yes, were there any moments along this journey, specifically the past 2.5 months when you came back and wanted to have this Congress goal in mind that you thought, "Oh, man, this isn't working the way I thought it would," or that you had some questions and then you persevered and said, "No, I've got the right program, I'm gonna stick with it?"
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I wanna say yes, I wanna say no, because there were definitely times where Lauren, you and I remember a session where I'm like, "Why the hell did I set this goal?" Like, this is so out of reach for me, where I had that moment of, like, weakness that I'm like, "What the heck am I thinking?" But you were able to pull me back, rein me back in, no pun intended, and, obviously, I pulled spent myself out of it, and the same with the workouts where they were not easy workouts, and there were times where I'm like, "I could sleep in, I can go to bed
Mhm.
now. I can sit on the couch and binge watch whatever." But I was like, "No, I'm gonna do this. I deserve to do this. My horse deserves for me to show up and make her proud." I was like, "Nope, gonna fight through it. Sorry, the negative thoughts, not gonna win today." So, yeah, I pushed through it, and it was funny
Yeah.
because I remember I missed a day, that I worked out, and I felt so guilty, and, I said to my boyfriend, I'm like, "Jeff, I didn't work out today." He goes, "Yeah?" And we're like, "No, I don't think you know how I was supposed to work out today." And, he handled it like a champ. It was like, "Well, there's tomorrow." And but got started that next day, I was like, "I'm doing it." Like, I just
Yeah.
got right back on it. It was like, "Okay, I really wanna do this." And yes, it was partly because of the Congress goal that I had, but it's the big picture, that I wanna be the best version of myself, for myself, my horse, my family. My horse, I you 2 both show horses. I'm sure you know how important your barn family is,
Mhm.
and you wanna be there for them too. You wanna be the best version of yourself for them too. And so that's why I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna keep plugging away. And no, I did not achieve the goal that I wanted to for Congress. But first of all, when it comes to Congress, so many things have to go right. Like
Yeah.
literally, the stars have to be aligned perfectly. One of my friends, she had the best horsemanship go I have ever seen her have, but
Aw.
her horse took one bad step, and that's enough. That's enough to
Right.
knock you out of contention. At that level with the numbers that are there, like, everything has to be perfect. So, I am not beating myself up at all about Congress because I did not achieve that specific goal, but in my mind, I kicked ass, and I think
Yeah.
You did.
yeah.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I am so proud of myself, and again, 2026, I'm ready, you know?
You're gonna kill it.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's what's just so nice about showing horses is there is always another horse show,
Yeah.
and you can continue to get stronger mentally and physically and come back again and try to smash that goal one more time. It was really cool. I recently worked out at a gym, and there was a woman there who was 62 years old.
Oh,
And up until 2 years prior, so when she was 60, she had never worked out a day in her life. And the day that I met her, she deadlifted for the very first time 100 kilos. She
yeah.
went from never working out to starting that journey as a 60-year-old woman, and 2 years later was deadlifting 200 pounds. And
Yeah.
so I think we can look at that with our own personal fitness and our horse journey of it doesn't there is no time frame. It's just start and put the work in, and eventually it'll all come together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to start. You can't be afraid to start.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
keep going.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. I wanted to take a moment to thank our very first gold sponsor, Hobby Horse Clothing Company. If you're looking for a cost effective way to elevate your look at the horse show, check out what Hobby Horse has to offer. From budget friendly crystal jackets to simple show shirts to stylish lifestyle tops, Hobby Horse has everything you need to look your best. Make sure you use code EYR2025 for an additional 10% off at checkout. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Elevate Your Ride. We're so excited to continue helping you elevate your performance in the saddle. To keep bringing you quality content and information, we're asking you to help us. Tell your friends about us on our podcast, like and share a meaningful quote you saw on our social media, write us a review on Spotify or Facebook. You can also join our Facebook group and ask all your health and fitness questions, or maybe post a success story to motivate another amateur. Your engagement really helps us support and encourage the equestrian community. We're also inviting sponsors and supporters to help us build our show. As a sponsor, starting at just $150, you'll receive marketing on our podcast, website, and growing social media platforms for your business. It's the perfect way to connect with the equestrian community and showcase your brand to our dedicated listeners. And for our supporters, your $50 contribution gets you a shout out on our social media and website. Every bit of support really helps fuel the show and helps us inspire and motivate equestrians. So, if you're interested in learning more about that, you can scroll down to the show notes of this episode and look for the Become a Supporter or Become a Sponsor links and click on those to get some more information. Thank you for listening. We can't wait to continue expanding our platform and helping you elevate your ride.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. Are you loving our show and looking for a way to show your support? Check out our line of Elevate Your Ride merchandise. From stylish t-shirts to cozy hoodies to journals and hats, we have everything you need to represent your favorite podcast. Ready to gear up? Click on the Buy Our Merchandise Here link in the podcast notes, or head on over to our website, elevateyourride.co, and click on the Store tab. Thank you for your support. Make sure to like, follow, and share our platform with your friends. So let's dive a little bit into, can you walk us through your run, like maneuver by maneuver as you got up to the cone and like your whole Congress experience?
Oh, so let me tell you, Lauren, this is where you come into play because I don't know what is wrong with my brain, but when I get to that start cone, it's like I'm a blank slate. Like, what? Where? How? But this was the most present I have ever been in a pattern. And it worked out great. Like, I was at the start cone, and where the judges were sitting was straight ahead. Like, I'm like, "Seriously? Why are you guys straight ahead? Like, are you trying to purposely set me up for failure?" So, of course, Doubles, my horse, she's like, "What are those people there?" I mean, she's seasoned enough. She knows what they're doing there. But, also at the Congress, we are on the south side of the Big Pen in the Celeste, and on the north end is where the amateurs are competing at the same time, so they're going down the aisleway to our right, So, of course, that can be, a distraction. It is a distraction. So, Lauren, you and I had a big conversation about the warm-up pen in itself.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
handle the warm-up pen, especially at the Congress? Because they only allow so many horses into the warm-up pen, I think, like, we'll say 5, and you no longer have access to your trainer, which, hello, we're adults. They should not have to hold our hand, but at the Congress, you
But
want
we
them to.
like it if they do.
Exactly, like, "Please hold my hand, please." So, you and I talked about that, and we came up with a game plan on how to handle that, and it worked. It worked great, like, go in there confidently, and, of course, my trainer helped me with this as well, but you said do maneuvers that you feel confident doing to build even more confidence going to that start cone. Don't look at the competition at that point. You're on your own, so I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And I was so in the moment, like, our warm up, I felt was spot on what we did. I know Rachel, my trainer, there was something that she was like, "Oh, don't do that." And fortunately, I realized it quick enough where normally I would not have even realized, had enough insight in that moment to say, "Oh, this is not good to do in a warm up area." So then we head into the start cone, and that was the most present I have ever been. I remember talking to doubles, and I have not done that before. I'm like, "Doubles, this is our time. You've got this. We've got this. Let's do it." And just right when I said that to her was when they nodded to me to go, and we took off. And it was great because, again, we had to nail a hip spot right with the judge. I swear I could have probably touched him with where they were sitting, but I was present enough to know, like, "Okay, we gotta go all the way up there." And that first pivot, we were spot on, like, it was good, and I really felt like I had a very good solid pattern. I feel like it was the best inspection that I have ever done. I felt so tall and confident, and obviously in the showmanship, that's exactly what you need. And then I felt like all the way through the pattern, because sometimes it's so easy to say, "Okay, I'm done." Especially, we finished the pattern with doing a 90-degree and then trotting out. It would not be unusual for me to be like, "Oh, okay, inspection's done, the pattern's done." But no, I was like, "Nope, I'm showing all the way to the end." And I really felt like that's where your work helped me to remind me to, like, "No, show the horse the entire time," you know?
Yeah, and watching you, you looked so confident, you looked so present in every maneuver, and like you were completing everything to the best of your abilities, and I was just so proud of you as I cheered you on from across the screen, and it's like, "Go, Lorelei, go."
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, and for the first time ever, I am definitely an exhibitor who does not want people to watch me. I do not have my boyfriend come to shows. I don't tell people about the live feed, and this time I'm like, "No, I am putting it out there." So I told everybody about the live feed, and do you know the live feed did not work for me?
Are you kidding?
No, it did not. It completely shut down. I know. I'm like, oh, so I don't know if that was God's way of saying, no, Lorelei, we still don't want them to watch you. But either way, it was on one of like the last maneuvers when we had the back to the hip spot and do the huge pivot. That's when it came back on. But honestly, I think that was my favorite part of the pattern. So if that's all they saw, that's great.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's great. I love
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
So what
So
made you decide to ask people to watch you this time?
I think because I knew I had done the work, like,
Yes.
I was like, "I have done the work, and I wanna show it off, and even if it doesn't go as I hope, I worked my butt off, so here
You
you
did.
go, and if I'm gonna take things to the next level, why not have people watch you take it to the next level? Be part of my journey, you know? Like, that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons I wanted to come on, to do this podcast is I want people to be part of my journey. You can be on the struggle bus for years because I have been on the struggle bus for years and still pull yourself out of it and still work your butt off. Yeah.
100%. And, the other thing for anybody who's listening to this, we something that we do talk about all the time on the podcast is, it takes years to build somebody into a strong competitor. It really truly does. It's not something that happens overnight. But Laura was able to take all that progress that she made over all those years and really focus in on those 2.5 months right before Congress and peak herself at Congress. So, no, she didn't go from 0 to 100 to get to Congress, but she was able to get where she wanted to go relatively quickly. It's not like you spent 6 months or a year specifically preparing for Congress, Like, if you decide that you want to put your mind to something and if you wanna put in the effort to make it happen, you can make it happen.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm so excited about 2026 is because my plan is to keep working, and just keep
I
this
love it.
forward momentum going. And, I'm excited. I know my trainer does
Yeah,
not want to hear from me to know when our next show is, but I'm ready, like we're in
So,
Ohio, so I don't want to suffer through the winter months at a show, but at the same time, I'm ready.
what advice do you have for other exhibitors that are maybe at this stage or where you were a few months ago? What advice do you have for them to kind of get over the hump and get jump started towards this new exciting journey that you're on?
I think I wanna take it even further back, Lauren, than the last few months. I wanna take it back the last couple of years
Yeah.
because it was bad. I mean, I was in such a dark place when it came to showing horses that I seriously contemplated just giving up. It's like, "Why am I doing this?" Like, it is hard and I don't wanna be here, but I I sat down one time because 'cause I'll have clients do this with, their struggles that they're going through. I'm like, "Write down your why. Why do you want to do A, B, and C?" So I wrote down and it was hard. It took me a while to write down my why I wanna do this, and it was just enough to say, "Okay, I wanna keep fighting. I wanna keep fighting this battle. It's time to pull" excuse my language, but pull my head out of my ass, and, I'll go back to Laura, that podcast where I listened to you say, "I struggled at the start cone," and it was like, "Wait, what?" Like, it was just enough to say, "I can do this. I want to do this," and thank God my trainers have the patience of Job because I know they wanted to throw the towel in for me, and, we've had so many family meetings at the barn of, like, "Do you wanna keep doing this?" And thank God they stuck by my side
Mhm.
and didn't throw in the towel because, I mean, we've had so many tears, so many hugs, and it just makes it all so worthwhile, and the feeling that you get, whether it's if I would have been top 10 at the Congress or just conquering that start cone. The
Mm.
first time I conquered the start cone of being able to hold my horse still, like, I wanted to get up and celebrate right there. You know,
Oh.
like I wanna say to the judges, "Do you guys know what I just accomplished?" Like,
Oh.
forget the pattern, forget the trail pattern I just did. Do you know what I accomplished? I was able to make my horse stop at a start cone, and it just built from there, and I am just so grateful to God and my family, my friends, you too, that I got to this point because it is so rewarding, and I can carry that over to my clients in my practice. I can carry it over to my friends that, you know, the lessons that I have learned are amazing. Like, it is hard, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but the reward is so worth it. Whether, again, it's a top 10 finish at the Congress or it's standing at a start cone, the reward is worth it.
that was so beautiful.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
emotional.
I know. I'm right there with you as I was listening to that. So thank you for sharing because I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that. And it's just so incredible. And I know that we can't wait to see what you do in the future and how you keep carrying this positive energy with you.
Yes, and I know if nothing else, if the results aren't in the show pen, I know just the happiness that I feel now, the joy, it's enough right there, it's amazing. It's nice to be happy in the saddle again and to enjoy it, to look forward to it versus dread and like, oh. So, yeah, it's great to have the passion back and the excitement. Like, that is worth a Congress championship. I will trade that feeling for a Congress championship any day.
Loralea, what did you learn about yourself on this journey to the Congress?
I don't know that I learned anything. I reminded myself. Like, I knew it all along. I have the proof and looking back on my life that I have always been resilient. I have been dealt so much shit in my life, and I've always been resilient, but to be reminded of that, that is worth it right there. It's just, I'm so glad that I reminded myself of how resilient I am and how much I can accomplish when I do
So
the work.
beautifully
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just needed to remind myself. So, yeah. And again, you 2 have been such an important part of that, and I'm so
Mm.
grateful to both of you guys. And I still vote we go to Disney to celebrate, but hey.
Dude, I
Yeah.
am
Mm.
in. Take me. Let's go. Well, hold
Yeah.
on.
Say
You'll
say
have to
when and we'll
come.
be there.
You
Yeah.
should come to Disneyland though, because we're both on the West
Well,
Coast.
if that's what I have
So,
to do, I will do that. If that's the
oh my
sacrifice I have
God.
to make, I will totally do that. So,
I'm such a Disney adult and I get so jealous of how often Loralea gets to go to frickin'
yes,
Disney. I
yes.
love it. It's
And
my
I'm going in
favorite.
January. I'm going in January, and I'm going
Shut
with my
up.
horse show family, so it's great.
Well, we should Oh,
So
I'm
we
just
should
saying,
go.
Ellie.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But
Well,
but it
well,
it seems so odd to say that I have not met the 2 of you in person because I do
I
truly
know.
feel like you are friends and family. Like, that's why I'm like,
Yes.
"Let's
Oh,
have
I
it."
agree.
Yes, yes. So, that's why I mean, people need to take advantage of this. Like, it's almost like people need to be aware of these services, like I tell people all the time in the clinical mental health world, like, be aware of what services are out there to help you, and treat it
yeah.
like self-care. Why don't we treat counseling like getting our nails done? It's just should be part of who you do and what you do on a daily basis. And I feel like the same for the 2 of you, especially
Yeah.
if you're competing in the horse show world. Like, take advantage of these services that are out there. Find a personal trainer that specializes in equestrian athletes. Find a mind
Yeah.
coach that specializes in the horse show world. Like, do it. It makes all the difference in the world. So,
What we do does not replace time at the barn and time in the saddle, but it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier and it makes you a lot more successful. It
Yeah.
sets you up.
yes. And that reminds me of something. I remember years prior when I was preparing for the Congress, I would go to the barn, you know, 2 times a week versus 1 time a week. Obviously my trainer does a lot of the work for me, but I felt like it was so much more important to go more frequently to prepare for the Congress. Where this year, I was like, no, the majority of the work happens at home.
Mm-hmm.
And
100%.
I
Yeah.
did not feel that need. It was like, "No, I have to work out, and I have to focus on my mindset," and that's 95% of the battle right there.
Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, all linked in the podcast notes. We'll see you next time. The information provided by Elevate Your Ride is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical or professional advice. While we discuss health and fitness topics related to equestrians, the content provided through this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests on Elevate Your Ride are their own and should not be taken as professional guidance. We strive to provide accurate and up to date information, but we cannot guarantee that the information will be applicable to every individual listener or that it reflects the most current research or guidelines. Before making any changes to your health and fitness routine, we strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional who can provide personalized advice based on your individual needs and circumstances. Elevate Your Ride and its creators will not be liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, special, exemplary, or other damages arising from the use of information on this podcast. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. We are committed to providing high quality content and appreciate your trust in us as a source of information for your health and fitness journey.